Newcastle United have been doing God's work when we beat the Red Devils just yesterday 4-1. Can we do the same against the Eagles tomorrow? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Sham. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Sham
All right, folks. How are you all doing? I hope you guys are having a great evening. I'm sure, just like myself, you guys have been watching the Champions League football with Aston Villa and Dortmund playing against PSG and Barcelona, respectively. I was watching the Villa game. I thought Villa were desperately unlucky not to have snatched, got themselves back into it, and well, in terms of what they did get, but didn't get that fourth goal, that elusive fourth goal that they didn't manage to get. But yeah, it's more tournament experience. We've obviously felt it ourselves playing in Champions League a couple of years ago now. But look, incredible stuff. Dortmund also gave it a good goal against Barcelona, scoring 3 goals, but again, not getting that fourth goal either and conceding as well. But that's the Champions League football. That's what Newcastle United, that's what we as Newcastle United fans, that's what the team, the club, everybody involved with the Toon are aiming to do. And we're going to be talking about that today. We're going to be doing the match reaction to the excuse me, folks. We're going to do a match reaction to the Man United game. We're going to do a match preview for the Palace game that we've got coming up as well. And we're going to be talking about a few other news involving Newcastle United. Maybe we'll sneak in the training ground extension. We'll talk about possible contract renewals that we're hearing about for Jamal Lascelles, Callum Wilson. What do you folks think about that? Is it a good thing? Is it a good part of squad building? Do you take it as a negative thing? Are you worried that means we're not going to buy players? Do let me know what you guys think about that. And I think we may discuss a few transfer rumors or two. But as always, folks, do let me know how you guys are doing in the comments. How's the evening going? What are you guys up to? Are you about to go to work? Are you finished for the day? You just want to listen to some Toon news? Do let me know as always. And already in the chat, we have David McGann good to see you, David, from NUFC TV. God bless you, David. I hope you're well. I hope you're having a good evening, sir. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Man United game. And speaking of the Man United game, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Man United game, the 4-1 result, which did not flatter us. We did deserve it, even though obviously we did have a tight first half, in my opinion, against Man United. I thought obviously we ended 1-1 in that first half before we took over in the second half. But let's go through a few stats. Let's go through a few figures. Let's talk about it in overall kind of context. I'm really proud of the boys. First of all, I want to be able to say that I thought the first half, and in my opinion, was like I said, it was tight. Man United, obviously, we scored first through that sublime Tonali goal. I really, 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 really enjoyed that. Like, that disguised. Well, I thought it was a disguised pass from Trippier initially that went to Isak, because I was expecting him to, hit it over, hit it into the penalty area as a cross, but he hit it obviously to Isak. The ball bounced up. Again, I'm not sure Isak meant for it to bounce up. Maybe he did. If he did, that just adds to the incredible goal, really. And obviously that ball that he passed on to Tonali and the finish that went with it was absolutely amazing. I really, really enjoyed that. Man United obviously equalised from that. And through that Garnacho goal. And I don't know if you guys remember, that goal was really, really similar to the goal that Brighton scored against us for the FA Cup. Was it Minte? When Minte scored that goal, it reminded me of that goal a lot. But I was like, okay, wow, what are we in for? But I actually wasn't thinking. I was like, okay, that was a goal. The Garnacho celebration was interesting. I did think actually is he that confident? Does he know? Is he that to do that kind of celebration? You got to be like, that's got to be the winning goal with no time left. But he did that celebration, and in the towards the end of that first half, and I thought that was you're asking for trouble here, and trouble he got, and the goals that we got from that. After that, obviously through the second goal through was it Barnes who got the second goal? Yes, through Barnes from that Murphy cross. I think again our press. We've been pressing them all. We were pressing them all day, and we just took over, to be honest. And people, they keep on saying, "Oh, Man United made errors. They made errors," and but I think we forced them. Like people keep on saying unforced errors and stuff like that. It wasn't unforced errors, in my opinion. Anybody who's kind of watched some of the analysis from the match, whether it was match of the day or anywhere else, you would have seen like us literally going man for man with them for most of that game, and we were just winning our individual battles from pretty much for most of the game. And I just think we worn them out. And I think they were on shaky legs for large periods of that. As a result, in my opinion. And so those errors that came were not unforced; they were forced errors. And obviously, Barnes scored through Murphy. Then Barnes, we were talking about Barnes before, guys. Well, I was telling you this. I was saying my feeling was not Barnes for the last couple of games has been playing angry. And I feel like that goal that he scored where he took it on and he drove through the middle of that Man United midfield and then through the centre backs as well. And remember, he had an opportunity to pass the ball to Isak and he didn't. And like that told me a lot. Like like I said, he's really got the bit between the teeth, and he drove through. Really good finish again, and I was really, really happy for him. And obviously, again, the goalkeeper messed up for them. But again, in my opinion, we have been pressing him. We've been pressing that Man United defense all game, throughout the day, and he was, in my opinion, scared to make a mistake. He tried to chip it over Joe Linton's head. Joe Linton got a fantastic assist. In fact, if you see if I can find it on SofaScore actually before I get here, all of our guys got goals and assists. Our front six. Obviously, Isak got an assist. Barnes got a goal. Murphy's got an assist. Bruno got a goal. Joe Linton got an assist. I think that's all of our guys. All of our guys got. Tonali obviously got a goal. So it was a really, really good day's work from our guys, from the whole team. And Bruno obviously got the goal, reminding people that he is the real Bruno. He's the upgraded Bruno out of all the Brunos that were on that pitch. So we'll go a little bit into the stats, but I wanted to give my overview. But before I do that, we've got a few comments in. We've got people already coming in, flooding in, which is good to see. Bobby Fairview, God bless you, sir. Good to see you, sir. Big up, Philip. It's great that you always set up the stream early in the day so that I can turn on notifications. Happy to be here. Thank you, sir. Really, really, really appreciate you for that. I try to do my best as I can, and I'm just really encouraged to hear that. So I'm glad it's working for somebody. And it's always good to see you, Bobby. Aaron Kane, evening, Philip. Antonio, yes, that's the guy I want to talk about. Evening, Philip. Antonio Cordero, excited to get your analysis of him. Been a while since we had a signing. Yes, it has been a while, and I don't think we're going to see him for another. I don't think we're going to see him for another 18 months. Really, it's already been said by Craig Hope, and you could already tell from the type of signing it is that he's going away. He's going to be loaned out to someone. Probably, I'd love it to be in the Premier League, to be honest. But he's going to be like a sort of similar situation to Minte. Maybe he might go to somewhere in Holland or something like that and apply his trade there. I think, and maybe, I don't know, maybe, and Bobby Fairview will know what I mean as a Chelsea supporter. Like this is like a. this is a standard now in terms of transfer business, where you're picking up young talent across Europe, across the world. He's not a first team signing by any means of the imagination. He's still raw, but a lot of talent there. The hope is either he does really, really well on the loan, just like Minte did, and might come in and start off as a rotational player before getting to the first team, or he becomes a fringe player and we eventually sell him off for more money. Am I excited? I'm excited from a point of view of, he's a young talent, and we're going to do some more we're going to look at him at some points as well. I didn't. I'll see if I can get a scouting report up on him as well. Maybe I'm getting desensitized. I hope I'm not. I am excited, but I'm thinking that I'm not going to see him really. I'm not really going to see him in a Newcastle shirt for some time. So it's hard for me to kind of, get really, really excited. Like, not as excited as I was, for instance, the Coonan news and stuff like that. But I know what you mean. We'll be following him. We'll be following him and seeing how he does anyway. Evening, Unai, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Evening, Philip. Hi, chat. Well done. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. Bobby Fairview, good job from Newcastle on Sunday. I'm counting on you guys to get my risk sacked. You won't be the first fan that's counting on Newcastle to get their team, to get their manager sacked, Bobby. Is it that bad, Bobby? You're not rating him. I understand where you're coming from. Adrian Pickett, good to see you, Adrian. God bless you. Evening, everyone. Evening to you, sir. Bobby Fairview, bless up chat. Smash up the likes. Let's get Philip trending. That's it. Let's get Toon Tactics channel. Let's get it trending, folks. Aaron Cave, Man United was so bad. They were, and they're not a confident side, but at the same time, they don't have the athleticism or the technical ability to with a team like ours, to be honest. And it feels so good to be saying that. We haven't been able to say that for a long time, but we are really coming into form, and it's very difficult for any team to really match us. I can only see a couple teams in the Premier League who have to be at their peak, really, to kind of to live with us at the moment. There's not too many others. That's kind of my opinion. Adrian Pickett, yes, they were shocking. They were indeed shocking. Davey Eddie, correct, Philip. Their errors were forced because of our pressure. We were on a different level. Honestly, like from the off, it was man to man. When you go man to man like that, you got some confidence in your side that you can take these guys on, right? So we ragged them. We ran them ragged, and I don't know if you guys remember some of the last bit of play from Tonali when he literally took the ball from outside of our box and drove with the ball all the way up their pitch, and there's like 2 or 3 Man United players chasing him, and they couldn't catch him whilst he's on the ball. And I think that typified, in my opinion, the gulf in class and the difference between Newcastle United and Man United at this moment in stage as well. So, and they just couldn't live with us. Honestly, they just couldn't live with us. I agree. Still got that hay fever cough. All right, Aaron Kane, thoughts on Isak being off the pace recently? Hoping he isn't carrying a knock, because it feels like he isn't playing like we know he can. Yeah, I can see what you think. I agree, Aaron. Even in the Leicester game, thankfully he hasn't had to be at his peak, because everybody else has been doing a good job. There's kind of rumours around his groin that he's possibly playing for a bit of pain at the moment. But he's I hope because he's on 20 goals now, I hope he can get more before the end of the season. The main thing is on the pitch, but I know what you mean, Aaron. Like, he hasn't been his usual self. Hopefully that changes before the end of the season. Adrian Pickett. Isak had a bit of a tape under his knee. Therefore, looks like he's nursing something. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. So let's look at this. I haven't looked at Opta analysts for a while, and I wanted to mix up with a bit of Opta analysts today, especially when I'm reviewing the Crystal Palace game. But in terms of our game against Man United, obviously 4-1 to us. There was only 2 yellow cards in that game, and both of them went to Man United. Typically, and we've talked about this before, I like Newcastle to have a few yellow cards because it's not the indicator, but it's a minor indicator that your team is playing is bringing intensity to their game. But for this game, we were so intense that we didn't need to, and Man United was so just couldn't match our physical levels that we didn't need yellow cards. Like we could win and this is a problem for Man United. That we didn't need to foul them to win the tackles and to win the ground duels and to win the aerial duels. We didn't need to foul them to get the ball off them. Do you know what I mean, guys? It wasn't. They just don't have the physical capacity at the moment to deal with us at the moment. They had the more Man United that beat Man United had the majority of the possession a little bit, but again, it's not a key factor really. Excuse me, guys. We possession lost in the defensive half, us only 18, them 68, and that was for the forced errors. That again tells you about the press that we had. Possession lost in the midfield, we lost a little bit more, but I think it's because we played a lot of transition football, a lot of key passes or passes that we were trying to be very direct, got lost. Having said that about the duels, we won. There was 107 to 106 to theirs. Dual success rate, we won 55%. They won 44%, which is quite significant. 9% gap is pretty significant. We were even on the aerial duels. Successful dribbles, 11-11 each, which is interesting to see. Again, Man United have I thought when they had Xerxes playing for them, they were a decent. They were quite threatening, and obviously he pulled up with a hamstring, and that just proved to be really difficult for him to. He was having a good game. He gets a really bad rap, and I understand sometimes his performances aren't the greatest, but I don't know what you guys think. I thought he was having a decent game, and obviously he pulled up with a hamstring, and it became a lot more difficult for them to hold up the ball. Rasmus Højlund is desperately lacking confidence, and the game went from bad to worse for them in that half. Long passes, we had 39 to their 53s. The proportion of our passes was 9.3%. Theirs was 11.2%. We were playing really well for the midfield, I felt, as well. We could be direct when we wanted to be as well. So that was positive to see. Obviously, in terms of attack, 4 goals to ours, 1 to theirs. We had 13 shots to their 9, shots on target, 6 to their 5. We had a 1 block shot, they had 2. Headed shots, 5 to their 1. Shots outside the box, 2. Shots inside the box, in their box, we dominated their box, 11 to their 5. Shooting accuracy, interestingly, they had the more accuracy, 55.6%, which is interesting to see. Key passes, 10 to 6 to us. It was positive. Like our overall performance was really, really good. Defensiveness as well. Interceptions, for instance, were really high on that, 9 to their 5, which shows structure. Everybody knows what they're doing. Recovery runs or recoveries, 58 to their 47, again shows our athleticism and how well we're doing with Tonali in that number 6 role in particular, attacking third recovery, 12 to us, 2 to them. I think that means, and then you guys correct me if I'm wrong, that's recovery runs we're having to make from the attacking positions. Fantastic to us, 12 to 2, 18 to 34 on defensive third recovery. Again, that's in their half mainly. We didn't have to do too much for our half. Midfield third recovery, 28 to us, 11 to theirs. Again, really, really good work from us. We were, recovery in attacking half percentage, 20.7 to us, 4.3 to theirs. I have to figure out what that means. I wonder if that means from from our attacking half or from them. It's like if we're attacking them and the ball breaks, how many are we recovering the ball from their half, or is it the opposite around? Either way, we seem to be dominating it. I hope that's for good reasons. But I want to look at this thing in terms of one of the reasons why I wanted to look at this was the passing map, because it's going to be quite interesting to talk about this, because it's going to lead us into talking about the Palace game and what I think is going to be the key parts of that game. But before I do, I've got a few comments as well. Let me see. Hold on. Let me just make sure. Is that passing? Is that us? That should be us. Yes, that was us. And I took off my sofa score. I want to make sure the sofa score. Yeah, here we go. Because this is gonna matter. Because I want to also show our average positions, and I want to show our heat map, and I want to combine that with the our passing map, and explain and kind of talk about that with you guys and see what you guys think. And then that's going to lead us into the Crystal Palace game as well. Oh, and folks, I forgot to say, I was hoping that Strasbourg Steve was able to come on today, but he had a last minute appointment he had to get to. So hopefully we'll get him onto the next show or next couple shows. It's always a blessing to have him on, especially when we're talking about transfer news. So it'd be really good to have him on. Josh, Toon Army Philly. Is that Philly like Philadelphia? Like that'd be incredible. Welcome, Josh, and God bless you. I think the beauty of Isak's game is he can contribute in more ways than just goals. Well, exactly. And sometimes just the threat of him. I think he's beginning to have that Haaland presence where he's able to help people, because defenders have to watch him. Sometimes more than one defender has to watch him. He creates space for others. I don't think that's necessarily his role as it is for Haaland for Man City. But you're right, Josh. I mean, I don't know if you mean it this way, but for me, he doesn't necessarily have to be scoring goals necessarily, like you said, even though I'd like him to do that. But his presence alone and his reputation is preceding him, and this is what's creating space for us and creating space for our team as well, which is good to see. Aaron Kane, but great comment there. I agree, Josh. That assist for Tonali was absolute filth. I agree. Ferdinand Coombson, welcome to the show, sir. God bless you. Crystal Palace has physical players. They do indeed, which is going to determine the game, and we can only win with well-planned tactics. Our ball handling needs to be on point. Not to give away balls easily. And I totally agree with that. That's a great comment there, Ferdinand. Aaron Kane, if Palace is going to be such a tough game, it is. They have a lot of quality, I agree, in build-up, and Mateta is a very physical striker. He is. I'm worried. How tall is Mateta? He looks tall every time I see him. I'm worried about their right back Munoz. He always pops up with a goal for them. He does, and he seems to be having a good season as well. Josh Toon Army Philly. Yes, Philadelphia in the States. Big up, Josh. I love to see international fans on here. Really, really good to see you, sir. Apologies if you've been here before, but I would have remembered that name. But if it's your first time, Josh, welcome to the channel. God bless you. I hope to see you. I hope to see you continue coming on, and as well, really, really a blessing to have international fans come on to the channel. Unaya, we owe Palace a thrashing. I'm not over that free. We do. So, guys, we'll talk about Palace, but I want to just that bit before Palace. I want to talk about these passing this passing map against Man United and talk and kind of merge that with the average positions of our team and the heat map of where the players, how the players were positioned and what they were doing, because I think that bleeds over into what we are going to be talking about in our kind of match preview, tactical preview for the Palace game. So, folks, this is our passing map against Man United. Let me quickly show you Man United. Not overly relevant, but just to make, maybe that makes it adds a little bit of context. Obviously, that's them. Forget about it. We'll put it this way: most of their players, 9 of their players were in their own half. But I need to explain something for folks that haven't seen this before. So the passing map, for folks that aren't aware, shows you essentially where the patterns of passing throughout the game, where they were mainly happening. So the thicker the lines, you can see some lines are really thin, some lines are really thick. The thicker the lines are where there was the most frequency of passes between different players. So for instance, you see number 5 here, Shaw. This is going from left to right. So obviously the goalkeeper here is Pope. And then, so number 5 here is Shaw. Excuse me. There's a really, really thick line here between Shaw and Trippier. And that's because between them throughout the game, they've had 16 passes between each other. The majority of them, 6 of them were from Trippier to Shaw. But the main majority was from Shaw to Trippier, which again already is an indicator that obviously not only are they kind of a big part of our build-up is them playing, is their passing between themselves, but also if from when the passings are from Shaw to Trippier, we know that you can see from this positioning that Trippier is typically the more advanced player. So you can already tell that Newcastle were very much on the front foot, because we're always our build-up play was always in an attacking way. This pattern of passing was always forward. If it was the opposite way around, I would say Newcastle very much in the kind of getting pressed. Then they're finding it hard. If it's Trippier constantly passing to Shaw rather than the other way around, and then it's Newcastle getting pressed. It's Newcastle not being able to get out their own half, but it's the opposite. And you can see that actually that build up, because you can see the evidence that Newcastle were very much on the front foot, because the passing coming from Shaw to Trippier, and you can see incredibly thick line between Trippier and Murphy. Even more passing, but 24 passes between the two throughout the game. So that further adds to the momentum, the attacking momentum, the full momentum from Newcastle. And the majority of those 24 passes, 15 were from Trippier to Murphy. Again, Newcastle going forward, and Murphy to Trippier, which was 9. So far more in advanced areas, and we're looking really, really good. And you can see how there's a real kind of build up. There's a real kind of network between that starts off with Shaw. But then you can see a real close connection that from Shaw to Nali, Bruno, Murphy, and Trippier. And they were really overloading the flanks of Man United. That was hurting them as well. Tonali, and we're going to see this is again from the heat maps at the moment, Tonali had a really great game, scored a goal, but it's him that's kind of the almost at the middle point here. And obviously Bruno, because of Tonali's kind of advanced position in the midfield, and we'll see from the heat map, he's also the main person in shielding and screening our back 3 here in Burn, Shaw, and Trippier. That because of this, he allows Bruno to play in a far more advanced role. And you can see this with Bruno playing higher than Tonali, but connecting again. You can see this thick line between Bruno and Murphy, where we've had 13 passes exchanged between the two of them, which is good to see. And you can see also Bruno connecting with Isak, a little bit less, 4 exchanges between Bruno and Isak. A little bit more from Bruno and Harvey Barnes. You've got 7 passes between the two of them. But mainly Bruno and Murphy, really. I think it's here, Murphy to Bruno, they've had 13 exchanges. So Bruno in a far more advanced role. You expect them to have a little bit less. The lines, you expect the lines to be a little bit more thinner because obviously they're in the opposition half, but still really, really good. And you can see that obviously he's connecting with Tonali, he's connecting with Trippier, he's connecting with Murphy, he's connecting with Isak. And again, you can see that Newcastle on that right-hand side mainly were really, really connected. It's very, very similar to the left-hand side through Tino Livramento, who I thought was phenomenal once again. Burning a far more, again, pushing up. We know that our main kind of direct play comes from Shaw. I want to focus before I get to Burn, but Shaw, for instance, you can see a relatively Shaw to Joe Linton, 8 passes. Joe Linton typically in a far more advanced role. And we know one of the big things that Newcastle like to do is to have that that switch ball from Shaw to Joe Linton, whether it's on the ground or mainly in the air. We know that Joe Linton's really, really, really good at winning the ball in the air. In fact, for that Barnes goal, I think it was the first, I want to say it's the second goal. Maybe it was the second goal. No, it was the first Barnes goal with the 2-1. It was Shaw doing that switch ball to Joe Linton, and Joe Linton initially winning that ball in the air. Again, and giving us that territorial dominance. So this passing lane between Shaw and Joe Linton is not a surprise, very direct. It allows us to be very direct and allows us to take kind of territorial dominion, which we did against Man United, which was really, really good. And you can see Livramento again in an advanced position here next to Dan Burn, connecting with Dan Burn, 12 exchanges between Dan Burn and Livramento. And then again, but then Livramento connecting with Joe Linton, 12. So that's Barnes. He connects with Barnes here, but let me see. What is it? With Barnes, he connects 12 times throughout the game. 9 of those 12 exchanges are from Livramento to Barnes. Again, what does that show you? That there been is advanced forward play. If it's Barnes constantly passing to Livramento, that would suggest that Newcastle are going backwards, but it's not. It's the total opposite way. So everything is very much forward for Newcastle United in this game. I'm trying to get Barnes and Joe Linton's passing, but it won't let me. Here we go. Livramento, Joe Linton, exchange 7 passes. A lot more balance, 4 and 3. But good stuff there, really. And we were just really, really kind of all over Man United. And obviously Isak. And one thing, the other thing in terms of position, you can see Barnes literally right next to Isak as well. So on paper, we're 4-3-3, right? But it's on paper. If you look at the average positions, it almost looks as if Newcastle are in a because it's Man United, it's a bit difficult, but it's a 3 at the back with it's almost like a 3-4-3, 3-3/4 because Bruno is so advanced. So you got Murphy, Bruno, Isak, Barnes, and Joe Linton, so advanced together. And obviously, if you can count Tonali in that attacking role, so it's almost like Newcastle always either got 4 or 5 players in attack and 4 or 5 again, if you include Tonali in that, players in defense. So like a really, really balanced approach, and they're all so connected together. Tonali and Bruno are stuck at the hip, really. Joe Linton and Barnes again connecting together, and Isak is literally he's obviously our main striker, but he's got next to him Barnes. I know there wasn't any pass between him and Barnes, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Isak is connecting with Murphy mainly, Bruno. He connects with Tonali, so he's very much involved, very similar to Barnes, who's also our advanced player, connecting with Joe Linton, connecting with Livramento, connecting with Bruno. So it's our front line, our midfield, and our defense are constantly connected, and it's allowed us to be always in an advanced position against Man United. And if you look at the heat maps as well, I wanted to say about something about it before I move on. When we were not playing well, you would have seen this. You would have seen Isak typically a lot more higher up. There's either a gap between him and our midfield, and a gap between our midfield and our defense. When we're not as tight, you would see Isak very much isolated, for instance, and very little in terms of, or very limited in terms of passes getting into him as well. This for me is again showing Newcastle to be in a lot more better form, especially on the ball in this game, where I feel like in the previous games we were a far more better off the ball and allowed us to win the games. In this game, we were better on the ball. We were but we're a lot more off the ball work is what's kind of, I feel like is what's really allowing us to dominate and to win games as well. I want to show the heat map and kind of also kind of get on to how Newcastle are playing. Before I do that, let me get into the comments. We've got a few folks in the comments as well. But yeah, really good stuff from, like, I was really, really happy with what I saw passing wise and how the team is connected, how the team is playing, how the team is on the ball. Far more better it was in this game against Man United than I thought, for instance, even against, I'm not talking about West Ham, but it's a lot. It was better against Leicester, but Leicester. But I thought, obviously, Man United are a better side than Leicester, and it was good to see us connecting that way. Josh Toonami Philly, first comment, but watch you a bit. God bless you, Josh. Thank you for commenting then. Now it's your second comment. Keep it coming. Keep it coming, sir. Excuse me, guys. Onaya, Barnes and Isak never once passed to each other. Yeah, and whether that's I don't know whether is that an issue. I don't know. At the moment, I don't think so because we're winning, and I think if we go back to how they're playing, I think Newcastle typically play, especially out of possession, in a 4-4-2, and I think the way the balance is at the moment is probably Barnes and Isak in that 4-4-2 out of possession. And it turns in obviously in the 5-4-1 or 4-5-1, we're out in the 4-4-2 out of possession. And if we're kind of in our third, it turns into a 5-4-1 when we're kind of in our own half. And then the 4-3-3 when we're attacking, or even, depending how high our fullbacks are or our midfields are, it can be like 4 or 5 players in the attacking half. I'm not overly worried about Barnes and Isak not passing to each other. I think that they've almost. It's almost like Newcastle are split in half. There's the Barnes-Joe Linton half, where they connect with, obviously, where Livramento and Byrne are connected, and Shaw does the switch play. And then there's the Isak, Murphy and Bruno half, where they connect with Tonali, and again Shaw is part of that build-up play as well. So that's how I'm kind of seeing it. But let me know what you think. Maybe is it a concern? Do we want to see more of a Barnes and Isak connection? Is there more of a connection with Gordon and Isak? Maybe something that's something that can be worked through. We'll see. Well spotted though, Naya. The Villa fan, goodness, we were close. You were, guys. You know what? And Villa fan, credit to you for coming on after that disappointment in the Champions League, and you guys were absolute credit to in your European campaign. Unlucky to you guys. I mean, going 2-0 down in the first half, you clawed your way back. But yeah, I mean, maybe, and this is all part of that learning experience for you guys, for us, for both of our teams. Maybe a little bit too gun-ho in that first half, but you had to try, isn't it? At the same time, so I think you guys will do a lot better if you were to come back into the Champions League next season. Hopefully, and then it won't be at our expense. Hopefully at Chelsea's expense. No, not Chelsea's. Bobby Fairview's here. At Man City's expense. But good to see you, Villa fan. Sophie B, God bless you. Hope you're well. Draw or win, we go third. How are you, lads? Evening, Philip. Evening to you, Sophie. Evening to you. How you doing? I hope you're well. Unlucky tonight, Villa fan. Yes, Sophie B is there. Adrian Pickett, unlucky Villa fan. Everyone. It was a great game for Villa. The Villa fan, I really hope we qualify for it again. What a campaign it was. And you know what? You handled your campaign really well. You're still in the FA Cup, aren't you guys? I swear you guys are in the FA Cup. Correct me if I'm wrong, Villa fan. Are you guys in the FA Cup? I can't remember. But I think you handled your league form and your European form a lot more better than we did as well. Even though we had a lot of injuries, I think, but we'll do a lot better hopefully next time out. I thought you'd been handling your cup duties, your league form really, really well, and hopefully you'll have a strong finish to the season after you play us. Villa fan. Sophie B, do you think do you think you will? What's your Prem run in, and you still have an FA Cup, and you still have an FA? Oh, okay. Question there for you, Villa fan. Do you think you will? Do you think you will get into Champions League, and are you still in the FA Cup? Same question as well. Villa fan, yes, Sophie B, we have Palace. Well done. So you are still in the FA Cup. Done really well, guys. In the semis in 2 weeks. Now remaining fixtures are tough, but I think we can win most of them. You guys have had a great campaign. I think you might just miss out on and get sixth, and maybe lost tonight. But I hope you do. Yeah, I can see that. Evening, Mighty Mag. Hope you're well. Hope you are well. Queen of Heart, good to see you. God bless you too. Good evening to you. See you guys are welcome in Queen of Heart and everybody else. Good to see that. Smash the likes, folks. Mighty Mag says smash the likes. Guys, come on, let's smash the likes and get us trending. Chelsea ain't getting top 5. Sophie B. Chelsea ain't getting top 5. I don't think they win a game except maybe Man U the rest of the season. Big call there from Sophie B. It's tight. It's tight at the top. So I wanted to end this part before the match preview before we get into the match reaction to the Man United game, because I think it's a nice segue into the Palace game. And I mentioned from the passing stats here that I felt like Newcastle we did really well. This is even we've won 5 games in a row now. For me, this has been the most impressive victory. Not necessarily because it was Man United, but because, again, on the ball, I thought we were a lot better. How the team connected, we were a lot better. We played on the front foot constantly. The players were always available for one another. You can see it. You can see that how well our defense and midfield and our forward line all connected really, really well together. I thought was impressive. And leading on to, onto the heat map. So this is on SofaScore, and you guys can. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Yes, you can. And for the folks that this is from up going down. So obviously Pope at the top here in the 22 role. You can see in Man United's half, and I'm gonna count Tino. I'll stop at Burn, but Burn is literally on the center line. In Man United's half, we have roughly 9 players? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 players in Man United's half. That's how dominant we were territorially over Man United. Man United are predominantly in their half. They've got 2 players in our half. That's Man United. And a lot of that was to do with our ball work, off the ball work, I felt, but also in terms of how well we were doing on the stuff that we were doing on the ball. And again, you see Tino here bombing up and down. Look at his heat map. Yes, there's obviously there's quite a bit of heat in our half doing his defensive duties really well. But look how much the real kind of red hot parts are in the opposition half. And when he's doing that, that allows Joe Linton. I don't know if you guys noticed this. This isn't just in this game. This has been in a lot of games now where Joe Linton has taken up a more central role, almost like him and Tonali are in that pivot that allows Mr. Bruno Guimaraes to to go up. And you can see here Bruno Guimaraes' heat map is predominantly, literally predominantly, in the far more advanced area here. And he's like buddies here with Murphy, and here with obviously next to Isak. So you've got two creative players in Bruno and Murphy supplying Isak and constantly being behind him. And Bruno still has defensive duties, but less so, because Mr. Tonali here is doing a phenomenal job covering him. But also, so is Mr. Trippier on that flank as well, doing really, really well. And so he's got a lot of cover behind him. But even Tonali, who again we can see is all over the pitch, but primarily in this game, the heat map is him very much leaning towards that right side of the pitch, next to Trippier, next to Murphy, next to Bruno. And, we're really overloaded their flanks there on that side, causing them lots of trouble. Because we were able to do that, we were able to switch the play as well when we wanted to, with Joe Linton and Barnes on the other side. Again, being relatively effective as well. But we were really leaning towards Man United side on this right-hand side. Who was on Man United's right-hand side? Was it Dallo? So we targeted Harry Amas, the young player here. And he was on all sorts of bother. And Lenny Euro, the two young boys, they were like 18, 19 years old. We're bullies. Newcastle United, we are absolute bullies. I'm thinking, where's Tonali, Trippier, Murphy, Bruno Guimaraes? Like, their heat map is just so on that right-hand side. And if you look down here, on Man United's left, which would be Newcastle's right, is these two young boys, Lenny Euro and Harry Yamas. Obviously, that makes a lot of sense. And Bruno Fernandes doesn't have the discipline to kind of fill in those gaps and support them. He has to also be creative, and he just didn't do enough. Same with Christian Eriksen; he doesn't have the athleticism either. So we really leaned into their right half as well. Burn was in a very advanced role through most of that game, with Shaw kind of hanging back and stringing passes and making sure that he's covering Burn. It was really, really good work from us. Isak, obviously, we talked about Isak spending a lot of time in the opposition penalty area as well, because there was so much kind of support from the midfield and defensive areas. And so off the ball, we had to be really, really good, because Man United could break on us, which they did in the first half. But we took over in that second half, and obviously they didn't get a sniff after that. And through our off-the-ball work, and you saw how high our interceptions were, our running, but then what we did when we were on the ball, we were very direct as well, and just how we were positioning ourselves when we were in attack. We took over that game and were so clinical in front of goal. And we came out as victors. We came out as really, really deserved victors in this game. And it's going to lead me on to the Palace game, because Palace are different. They play. I'm going to show Palace in a moment. Palace, like Man United, also play in a 3-4-3. Let me just wait up actually before I do that. So Palace, I'll go to the chats first, but Palace do play in a 3-4-3 or a 3-4-2-1, similar to Man United, but they've got a different profile of players. We're going to talk about them, and it won't be, as a lot of people in the chat said, it's not going to be as easy as it was against Man United at all. Before we go into that game, guys, let me know what you guys thought of the Man United game. I think someone in the last year predicted 4-1 against Man United. I know someone said 3-0. I can't remember if that was you, Aaron. Let me know. Someone said 3-0. I'm sure someone said 4-1. And credit to you guys. But let me know what you guys think of the Man United game. Who was your man of the match? Who was my man of the match? Who was you guys' man of the match? Let me know. Whilst I read through the chats, let me know who your man of the match is, and I'll let you guys know at the end. And then we'll start talking about the Palace game. All right. Is it Sophie? Yeah, Sophie B. Oops, sorry there. lost there. Thoughts on the potential sign of Cordero? We mentioned, he's a yeah. Somebody asked that Cordero about Cordero as well earlier, and I was just saying, look, I think he's very similar to Minte. I think there's already plans. I don't know if you saw the report from Craig Hope, Sophie, where I think the plan is for him to go out on loan pretty much straight away. So we're not going to see Cordero for the next 18 months, really. From what everybody is saying, is an exciting talent. Hopefully he'll become a first teamer, or if not, we'll probably sell him on. It's part of business really at the moment as well. I was saying, because I think the question to me was, am I excited about it? I think similarly to Minte, I'm excited about Newcastle moving in a strategic and in like an elite club in the transfer window in our business, and getting young talent, and also being in a position where, you know, we're financially working well. Like we've you know, we're going to be kind of staying ahead of the game when it comes to PSR. It's a funny way to be excited. I know maybe it's not me kind of talking about the player themselves, but I feel like I'm excited that Newcastle, you know, we're moving finally like a big club, and you got a bit of that Paul Mitchell influence there as well. I'll get more excited about the player when I see him. I don't know if I get time after the review. I don't know if I read a scouting report on him as well. I think we talked about him previously. I might do that. After, if I get a bit of time on the panel, I'll talk about him. I feel like I've waffled a little bit there, but no, I haven't. I think I'm just working through it. So I think there's a lot kind of in that as well. I think once I see him play, I'll be more able to say for Newcastle. But at the same time, I think we're moving smart. I'm more excited about how we're moving as a club with buyers like this. You know, Bobby Fairview, for instance, so he's a Chelsea fan. They get Cordero type of players 5-10 per transfer window, and it's part of business. But I want Newcastle to it's just a sign for me that Newcastle are moving smartly in the transfer window. All right, Bobby Fairview. Soap, you're not wrong, and we've not beaten United for a. You mean Newcastle United, Bobby? We don't say, if you're saying United, we're talking about Newcastle in this channel. But yeah, I'm not, I think you're referring to Man United in this one as well. So if you be yeah, they are your bogey team, Bobby, but they are so bad. Oh, Man United, they are. I agree. So if you be, I just think the form, the goals ain't coming, and the teams you play, Fulham, play good. Oh, I think you're speaking to Bobby there. How was it? We need tomorrow. Oh yes, Aaron Cave. Yeah, you did say you predicted 3-0. You did. Very close. Very close. We did win by a 3-goal margin, to be fair. Adrian Pickett. Yes, we'll be satisfied if we do. Aaron Cave. Think with our form, there is no reason why we cannot challenge Arsenal for second, whose eggs will all be in the Champions League. And yeah, I like us look it up. I think it's better to look up. I think it's better to shoot for the stars. And even if we miss, we'll end up third. I think that's the better way to look at it. And I think the way the team are playing, the club is moving, is good. That I think everybody's like looking up. Can we get second? Can we get second? That'd be great. Aaron Kate Barnes, I think, deserves it for the 2 goals. Okay, yeah, for man of the match. You know what? To be fair, yes, and I'm happy for him, and I'm happy that, and with all due respect to Anthony Gordon, we're not missing Gordon. Like, you know, we're not saying, oh man, I can't wait for Gordon to be back. I think that says a lot about how Barnes is playing, which is good to see. So if you be not if they go out tomorrow. Yeah, I almost feel Arsenal do stay. Bobby Fairview. Wow. Bobby Fairview, Newcastle can overtake Forest. Yes, if we win, absolutely. You've got the best midfielders and striker. Anything less would be underperformance. Well, well, we've been meeting the challenges so far, Bobby. I mean, people are asking questions, especially after won the Carabao Cup. Are we going to let off? Are we going to let the season fizzle out? Are we just going to be so happy with our trophy? And we've just put the pedal to the metal and we've gone for it. We want to finish the season second or third if we can, Champions League spot and cup winners. And for me, Bobby, and I'm sure I'm speaking for all the Newcastle fans here, this will be the best season I've experienced as a Newcastle fan, to be honest with you. All right. So with that said, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, like I said, are similar to Man United in terms of how they like to sub, which is a 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1. And I wanted to show a couple things about Palace, what I mean about them. Where is it? I wanted to show their game. I want to show two games. Obviously, the previous game they played against Man City, but first, I wanted to show Palace's game against Bournemouth. I wanted to show Bournemouth, which was in December 2024, just because I think Bournemouth have a similar-ish style to us. Bournemouth and Liverpool do. I couldn't find the Liverpool one. Where Bournemouth obviously are a high-pressing team, high-intensity team. Obviously, they prefer to play with two in the pivot, and then go into a 4-3-3 or 4. They have or kind of have a little bit more players up front when they're attacking. So I wanted to show how Palace respond to a high-pressing team, to a front-footed team as well, in their passing and everything that they do, and their kind of average position. So this is Palace? Yeah, so this is Palace. This is the game they played against Bournemouth in December 2024, and they drew 0-0. They drew this game 0-0 away to Bournemouth, right? So this is Palace from right to left. Obviously, their goalkeeper's number 1. So as we said, they're 3-4-3 on paper, and it's not too far out when they're in possession. So if you can see here, and Gahey's coming back for this game as well, so I can talk about Gahey. This is Lacroix, their centre midfielder in the middle here, with Chalobah on the right. And in this case, I think it'd be Richardson. We're talking about him. And you can see Gahey on the left. And Mark Gahey is their Fabian Schär. He's going to be there, obviously, the man that who essentially connects with you can see here with the thick lines between him and Mitchell, who's their left back but plays in a more advanced role. Typically, you can see it here. He connects with, obviously, Eze on that hand side, and he connects when he can with Lerma, and obviously, and so he kind of helps to anchor the attack and the possession from that left hand side as well. Does Gahey. So you got this 3-man defense. You've got these 2-man in the midfield with Lerma and Hughes. In our game, it will be Adam Wharton, who's doing really well at the moment as well. He's come back from injury, I think. And obviously, Nuno's, who we've talked about, plays in a more advanced role. So out of possession, you'll see Munoz. Out of possession, you'll see Munoz and Mitchell drop back, and they'll change into a 5-3-2 or 5-3-2 defensive, or 5-4-1 defensive fold. But in possession, you can see Munoz in a far more advanced role. And again, they're doing this against a Bournemouth side. We know how good Bournemouth are at pressing. We experienced it. You see Munoz here in a far advanced side. Mitchell a little bit less, but still advanced. You've got 3-man at the back here with Lacroix, Gahey, and Chalobah. And you've got this 2 in the pivot with Lerma and Hughes. And just in front of them, Sarr. You've got a 3-man attack of Ismail Sarr. Mateta, who obviously holds the line for them, and Eze. And between the 3 of them, both huge guys, tall, athletic, pace, power, intelligence, and movement. they're the guys that are going to be trying to break our defensive line. And we're going to talk about this. What Palace like to do is create this box midfield. So you would have Hughes and Lerma. Well, I think it'll be Hughes and Adam Wharton connecting with Soar and Eze. And what they do when they create that box midfield, it allows them to have more numbers in the midfield, which allows them to break on opponents a lot quicker, as well as outmaneuver them and outposition them, because obviously they got more numbers in midfield. So the key part of what Newcastle have to do, we're going to be talking about this on the tactical board, is for our centre backs to push up, and I'll show you guys what I mean. Before that, Gahey obviously is here, connecting with. He's back. He's going to be connecting this left side of the midfield with Eze and with Mitchell. So I'm interested to see how we deal with that. Adam Wharton, who's going to be in position of Lerma or Hughes. I think for Hughes, is going to be key in their midfield as well. And obviously you've got the 3-man players in Mateta, Eze, and Ismail Sarr, who are going to be there to cause us all sorts of havoc, with Muniz and Mitchell trying to pin our fullbacks by kind of hanging on the by adding the width in their play as well. So I wanted to show that to kind of show how Palace are playing in that 3-4-3, but also how clever they are in their box midfield and how they outnumber teams in the midfield. I wanted to show, and so that was them against Bournemouth. And before actually, let me, and I'll get back to it actually, because Palace, obviously, this is them against Man City. I'm going to show it because obviously that's the previous game. And I'm going to show you what Man City did as well, and how they kind of combated Crystal Palace's midfield. And because I know that we know that Palace went 2-0 up. They lost the game 5-2 to Man City, but they went 2-0 up against Man City, and deservedly so. And I think they had a third goal that was ruled offside. Had it gone in, then it's very likely that Man City would not have gone on to win that game. But it didn't go in, and Man City bucked their ideas up. And we're going to show you how they did it, and what Newcastle might do to do the same. We'll avoid going 2-0 down against Palace would be a start. But you can see that this Palace formation is very, very different to what happened against Bournemouth. This is Palace have only got one man in Man City's half, and that's Ismail Sarr. This is their average position as well as their passing lanes. And they're forced, you can see here, their centre-backs, Lacroix Richards, who would have been Chalobah, but it's Richards now, and Lerma, their midfielders are forced to play in their own half. And we're going to show you what Man City are doing. And they're forced to play in their own half, and they're forced to play amongst each other because they're not able to break the lines. And you can see here, Mateta. Is it true here? He hasn't got one pass between any players. He's totally isolated here, Mateta. And we're going to show you how Man City did that in a moment. So we want to be able to cause this to Crystal Palace without conceding 2 goals at home. And we'll show you what Man City did. Here's Man City. Man City number one, you can see a totally difference here. And we'll start from the front, because you can see Man City are pressing very, very high. Mamouche, obviously, Erling Haaland's injured. So Mamouche here is pressing up really, really high, with Kevin De Bruyne, the midfielder as well, and McAtee, who came on. You see the 3-man midfielder pressing up really, really high against their backline. But you can see also just how high Man City's defenders are, the centre-backs are, with Guardiola, Ruben Diaz, and Nico O'Reilly, who's on the left side, pushed up really, really, really high. And Rico Lewis here on the right-hand side. And this is what allowed them to prevent that Crystal Palace box midfield with Ruben Diaz. And Ruben Diaz here and Gvardiol been really advanced and ensuring that Ismail Sarr or Eze weren't able to kind of connect with the two-man pivot that were there. But also you can see how thick the lines are between O'Reilly and Gvardiol. So there's 44 passes between Gvardiol and O'Reilly. So you can see that they're really forcing Crystal Palace backwards by taking territorial dominion on the ball on their flanks. And then the similarly here with Ruben Diaz and Rico Lewis connecting, but also in that kind of in that triangle with Kevin De Bruyne, who is magnificent for them. And this is what forced Palace back. It's these passing lanes, this type of possession, what Man City did, will force Palace back on their flanks here. But also you can see where the thickest of the lines are between Gvardiol, Gundogan, Nico Gonzalez, and Kovacic, and they absolutely ruled that midfield area. And this prevented that box midfield from taking shape for Palace, and this forced Palace backwards. You can see it right here. You can see it right here through their positional play, but also through what they did on the ball here. And this forced Palace back, and this is what eventually won Man City the game as well. So Newcastle obviously are not Man City in terms of the play, but you've got a reference point of what Newcastle will have to do, especially what their centre-back will have to do in order to ensure that Crystal Palace don't get any sort of foothold or rhythm in that game by ensuring our centre-backs push up high and are able to crowd out almost Eze and or Ismail Sarr and isolate Mateta through that way, but also push up through our flanks and force Muniz and Mitchell to have to defend as well. And our midfield and our defense are going to have to connect really, really well through passing, through the possession, the pass, and the passing maps, the passing patterns they got here in how we keep the ball against Palace as well. Definitely doable. We've got the players to do it, and I'm going to kind of explain it a little bit further on the tactical table as well about what I mean. But before I do that, let me get onto the chats and see what you guys are saying. Apologies, I've got really my hay fever's kicking in. All right, so Bobby Fairview. So I'm going to talk about on the tactical board in a moment. Bobby Fairview, Newcastle can. I think I've read that one. Unaya, Barnes, man of the match. Okay, yeah. Barnes, man of the match. He now knows what he needs to do. I agree with that totally. In the final third, on and off the ball, and that means goals. I fully agree with that. And Barnes is that he knows what to do. Barnes knows his purpose, his role, everything what to do off the ball, on the ball, and he is clicking for him. If he continues like this, guys, stays injury free and in form, we might not see Gordon start a game until next season. Like honestly, How does not change a winning side? He does not change a winning side. Adrian Pickett. Is Gahey off to Liverpool or still on the market? I think he's still on the market, but there are strong links to Liverpool. We'll see what happens because Van Dijk has just signed a new 2-year contract, I think, as well. And Gahey's not starting over him. Kanate's got a year left, but is Gahey willing to wait for them? Or does he where he starts for Newcastle straight away? Chelsea are also after Gahey, so I'm interested to see. Adrian. Let me know what you think, Gahey. Gahey. Let me know what you think, Adrian. Do you think Gahey joins Newcastle? Adrian Pickett. I'm dreading balls over the top. Yes. And that is something for us to look out for. That's where Tonali is going to come into play a lot. So speaking of which, onto the tactical board. Right, so I'll start off with Palace here on the attack. Now, I think this is what Palace want. This is what I mean by territorial dominance and positional play. That I think Palace will try to get over us, and it's this 4-4-2 in the midfield area. So you can see Eze and Sarr connecting like this with Hughes, and I've got Lerma here, but I think not Hughes. It's going to be Wharton. I forgot Wharton's number. If anybody knows Wharton's number, do let me know. I'll put him as 0 for now. I think it's going to be Wharton. And they're going to try and connect to this midfield. Let me start again. You've got Sarr as a Wharton. They're gonna try and create this box midfield here. And in the ideal world, what that means is that Bruno is always outnumbered by Wharton and Eze. Joe Linton is always outnumbered by Lerma and Sarr. And Tonali is always outnumbered by Eze and Sarr. So there's always a spare man. If Wharton's got the ball here and Joe Linton goes to press Lerma, there's a free pass here to Sarr. If Lerma's got the ball here and Joe Linton goes to press him, he's got a free ball to Eze, and if Tonali goes to press Sarr, and vice versa. So the idea is to always have this ability to outnumber the Newcastle midfield or any opposition midfield. But in this game, obviously against Newcastle, the idea would always be to try to outnumber us in midfield and have a spare man. And obviously Mateta's going to be the idea is Mateta's always going to be the recipient of that, where once the ball gets to Eze or to Sarr, they'll be able to get it off to Mateta. And obviously you see there, as we saw in the previous maps, passing maps, I've got Richards here. Why have I got Richards? Oh yeah, because Shalabar isn't playing. Richards and Lacroix and Gehi pressing up with Munoz, who we know obviously scored against us before. We'll be trying to work these channels here, trying to force Livramento backwards. Same here with Mitchell, and they'll also be trying to join in where they can to add further numbers into that midfield, causing us havoc, and to always be trying to outnumber us in the midfield area, and try where Mateta will be trying to connect to them on either side and force us backwards, and also force the play, and obviously get their goals that way. So the key for Newcastle will be, as we mentioned, let me take this. Should I take it off? No, I'll keep it on. So the key for Newcastle is going to be our centre backs being able to advance. So Mateta is here. It's going to be Burn and Mateta, and Shah's going to have to step up to Eze. So Shah, by stepping up to Eze, frees up to Nani to look after Sarr, Joe Linton to look at Lerma, and Bruno G to look at Wharton. Trippier is obviously able to take care of Mitchell. Livramento is able to look at Munez. Barnes is able to close in on Richards over here. And Murphy is able to advance it on Gehi. And it's going to be important to stop Gehi as well in our press. Obviously, Isak and Lacroix. But the key here, apologies guys, the key here is going to be Shah and Eze, or however we want to do it, Burn and Eze or whatnot. I think Burn and Mateta, I think in terms of personal battle, but Shah and Eze will be key. Or if we can, if if Eddie Howe's not comfortable with that, you can have Tonali on Eze, and Burn and Shah Sachinova for Saar. I don't think he wants to do that necessarily, because I think it's going to be, the main thing is going to be making sure that we keep him quiet. Sometimes you get Livramento stepping in like this, but I don't think you want to do that. But again, the main thing is about overcomplicating it like I am now, is to have Shah stepping up, or one of the centre backs stepping up against Eze, and making sure that we're not outnumbered in midfield. And this will allow us, obviously, to make sure that we leave no man free and allow Palace to overtake us. And as we saw against what Man City did, it's going to be very important for our midfield, for our centre backs to push up and for us to be aggressive in our press and to force Palace back, which is possible. And as mentioned by someone in the chat, the balls of the take care, Bobby Fairview. Good to see you, sir. God bless you. Big up, Philip. I've got to run. I will replay the rest of the stream later. Good luck tomorrow. Let's hope Eddie Howe gets it done. God bless you, Bobby Fairview. Hope you have a great evening. It's going to be very, very important for us to be able to push them back. So where is it? Mitchell, Lur, Saar, Mateta. And we can isolate Mateta if we're able to do our game really well. So Trippier Mitchell will allow Murphy to focus in on Gahey. That's going to be a key battle for us going forward. Bruno Wharton, Joe Linton, Lerma, Livramento, and Munoz, Barnes and Richards. Excuse me, guys. Have I got this right? Tonali, Saar, Shah here, and Burn. And as always, what we've been really, really good at, and what you've seen a lot, is Bruno being able to play in a more advanced role, because Tonali has been supporting him, and Joe Linton have been taking up these central areas here, allowing Barnes as well here, and Isak. So you got Bruno being able to play in a more advanced area, connecting with Isak, connecting with Tonali, connecting with Murphy, and this kind of link up here with Trippier as well, keeping the width and keeping others like Mitchell honest. Shaw typically hangs back, but Burns stays here in these type of positions as well, with Tonali also screening that back line. And when we're off the ball, you get kind of this kind of thing: Shaw, Burn, and Livramento. Or when Livramento pushes up, you've got Burn staying central, Joe Linton covering up these lines here to make sure that if the ball should break, we've got somebody that's marking Saar. And Tonali is able to screen Burn as well. Tonali will drop back as well if need be. If Joe Linton's a little bit ahead as well, you've got Tonali. You've got this type of really good exchange, making sure that we deal with the balls over the top as well. And we have to try and suffocate Crystal Palace in this way. And the more we keep the possession, if the ball goes, the more we've got players around. Isak is going to be very, very pivotal, connecting with Murphy, Bruno, and Trippier on this side, and/or connecting with Joe Linton and Barnes, and/or Livramento, trying to force, because Bruno is going to try and force Livramento back. Livramento is going to be key in trying to get Munoz to come back. This Livramento Barnes growing relationship is going to be key in us trying to overload these lines here, and overload the back line here, and try and get us into more advanced areas. But it's going to be these personal duels. going to be personal draws with Shah and Eze, and or Tonali and Eze on this side in particular. That's going to be pivotal. And it's going to be important how Joe Linton, obviously, when he goes in central, is able to cover for Livramento when he pushes up with Barnes and Isak and others as well. So how we are off the ball, which we've been really, really good at. And sometimes you get to gnarly advance like this with Shaw covering Eze and Bruno connecting with Murphy and Isak. And that's been the key. And I kind of foresee this type of thing as well, with the type of momentum we've got. We've been really, really, really good at this. And we've got our super keeper in Pope, who has also been really good at and effective in dealing with what balls at the top. It's a lot more better than Dubravka at this as well. So I'm pretty keen that off the ball and on the ball, if Newcastle and Palace meet each other at full tilt, I think Newcastle can really, really do the business, in my opinion. But guys, let me know what you think about that. What's your thoughts? Do you think Newcastle would? What's your kind of thoughts about where the game could be won, where the game could be lost? It's going to be very, very difficult it's going to be very, very important for us to try and keep Eze and Sarr quiet. If we do that successfully, just like Man City did, then Mateta becomes increasingly isolated. And when that happens, you will see our midfield taking over. You see our forward line pushing up higher and causing all sorts of havoc to that Crystal Palace back line. So send in your score predictions, guys. Let me know what you think. I have Newcastle. I think we can win this game. Unfortunately, I see us conceding as well. I hope not, though. But I have us winning this game 3-1. I've got Barnes. Let me see. From that right side, someone's going to score. I've got Murphy. I'll get Tonali with another one. Murphy, Tonali, and Barnes. I've got Murphy, Tonali, and Barnes with the goals. 3-1 to Newcastle. Let me know what you guys think. Aaron's got 2-1, going to be incredibly tight. Yeah, I agree. Naya's got 3-1 as well. Big Joe is due one. He is. He might come up with the goods. I see, I can see that happening as well. But it's going to be a really, really, really tough game. Really tough game for sure. So let me send in your thoughts and let me know what you think. Right. So we talked a little bit about. I'm going to talk a little bit about contract renewals. There's been a bit of a thing about that recently, and but whilst I do that, feel free, guys, to still tell me about your score predictions as well. I'll be keen to know. Oh, we've got another one here from Adrian Pickett. 3-1 for me too. Isak is due a couple and Wilson off the bench. Oh, that's a good call. And yes, I'd still take Gahey. So would I, to be honest. He'll look great in our back line, to be honest. Right, so I want to talk a little bit about contract renewals, and obviously we talked a bit. I know we had that news about Antonio Cordero, and if I got time, I'll do a little scouting report on him. Let me share. Because you folks would have heard, I've got a few contract renewals. I've seen a few people online. I know as always I say, online is different to just general fans, really. So it might not be referencing online fans might not be necessarily the best thing, but I feel like I've been seeing a bit of panic, if I can say that, with certain names being mentioned who are going to get their contract renewals. And I think people are worried that because we are renewing these guys' contracts, it means that we're not going to buy new players, which I do not believe is true. I think we will buy new players. So starting off with a goalkeeper part, let me know what you guys think again, as always, what you guys feel about it. Are we on the right lines here? We talked about this previously. For those of you guys that will remember, about, I guess, where I think how Newcastle will go about building their squad. Um, Starting off with the goalkeeping aside, so we've heard that I think, and I can't remember if it's a rumor or if it's confirmed now. You guys can tell me. But this is what we talked about before, where I felt that in order for us to reach up to ensure that we keep ourselves going, essentially what I'm saying is that I think Newcastle will have to spend about between 100. Newcastle want to buy 4 players. We know that: a forward, a right winger, a right centre back, and a goalkeeper. My theory, or my theory, or my idea, my hypothesis is that Newcastle will have to spend between 111 million and about 133 million to be able to afford and to get the 4 players they have. And we did some AI as well as Swiss Ramble research and work to work out that Newcastle would have to sell between 30 million to 50 million, depends on how much to spend, obviously, in order to ensure that we're within the PSR limit to do that. And I thought about what players would probably go and what players they'll probably keep. So we know from reports from Craig Hope that Newcastle are looking to get James Trafford in. So I've got him there. But also, we've obviously heard today, and has been pointed out by folks in the chat, that Gillespie, let me make sure, what did you guys say? Gillespie can't blog another season, can he? Yes. I think he might, Adrian. I think he just might. And it looks like we're going to keep Gillespie. And I had, kind of thought about this as well. I had the same feeling. We'll probably keep Gillespie and possibly Dubravka as well. Obviously, we are keeping Dubravka. We're renewing his contract. I've got Vladikarmos as persons to leave and to sell. That's a hope rather than something that will happen, and we're probably going to let Ruddy go. I've got Pope as possibly leaving because I think we can still make money off him, and also because with James Trafford coming in, it's either going to be Dubravka or Pope who's going to leave, and I think it might be Pope, but I might be wrong about that. So it makes sense for Newcastle to keep Gillespie or Ruddy or Vladikarmos, really. Possibly you might see Ruddy's. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Ruddy's contract renewal. We know that the situation with Vladikarmos it was a PSR situation. If we can sell him for 5 million to someone, that'd be great. Or even for free at this rate. But yeah, so I'm not overly surprised that we're keeping Gillespie. But also because obviously I kind of talked about it for a more kind of financial situation. But I also think that on the player side, yes, he's not playing. But from everything I see on social media and his connection with the players, I think he's a good guy for the changing rooms. Plus, we've got that English quota that we've got to keep up as well. So it just makes to have folks that aren't necessarily going to be overly bothered not playing in the first team to stay on. We had a situation with Pope and Dubravka that was hard to manage, and it was only through Eddie Howe's good management that allowed us to keep Dubravka and Pope at the same time this season. And we've seen the fruits and benefits of that. So I'm not overly surprised that Gillespie's contract is going to be renewed. And I expect, and I wouldn't be surprised again if Ruddy's contract is renewed and perhaps Pope is sold on, in order for us to ensure that we keep up ourselves and kind of remain competitive in the transfer market as well, which seems odd to say that we've got to sell, but that's how it works. We know that. And as Aaron Kim said, Gillespie has the best job in the world. He's our Scott Carson. He's what Scott Carson is to Man City. Gillespie is to us. I'm not surprised to see that. With our defense, now there hasn't been. There was the rumor that. So I had. So a couple things. We know that we need the right centre back, right? So Obviously, I've got Dean Huijsen there. It might be Gehi, it could be anyone. We've had rumours that Jamal Lascelles is going to have his contract renewed. I don't think it's been confirmed. Let me know, guys. I've just had it as rumours so far, unless I've missed it. I might have missed it, but I think Lascelles may have his contract renewed, which would be interesting. But it doesn't surprise me either for the similar reasons, almost a similar reasons Gillespie. I have partly because I think Trippier might be sold this summer, and it's not because we don't need Trippier, because I think he's a basic. I think if Trippier wanted to stay, he could, and we would provide him with a contract. I partly think that Trippier goes because for a long time he's been connected with a move away, and there's all sorts of rumors, but that could be a thing. If he stays, that would be great. But if Trippier goes, it means that we already have Kraft. We have Kraft who, if Trippier and Lascelles were to go, would only have Kraft who essentially is a backup for two positions, right back and right centre back. And that would be a bit of a worry, especially when we want to compete in normal domestic cups. Now, if we get a new centre back in, it becomes less of a worry, but you still want to have that extra layer of support, that extra backup if you can. Hence why I think Newcastle are keeping Lascelles, might keep Lascelles. But also, if you renew his contract, give him another year or two, you've got the option of being able to sell him. And with the amount of years he's been at Newcastle United, that will look like a profit on if you amortize it. It works crazy, but it will come out as a profit, which will help with our PSR. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lascelles does stay. And so I'm not worried. I still think Newcastle bring in a new right centre-back, in my opinion. So there's no worries from me on that half. I think Target goes, the fact that he's not even on the bench. We know Jamal Lewis is going, and there's a possibility that Mr. Trippier leaves. Again, I will probably make money from him on that PSR. So I'm not surprised about that. I think they're keeping it on the wraps though, if they are renewing Lascelles' contract, because I think it's spreading. I think it puts fans into a panic where they think if we keep Lascelles and we keep Shaw, that we're not going to get a right centre back. And I don't think that's true. I think we are going to get a right centre back. I think from a financial point of view, but also from a squad building point of view, it still makes sense to keep Lascelles. And it still makes sense to keep Shaw, because Shaw is getting older. So even if you get a Dean Huijsen in and you've sold Lascelles, there's nothing to say that what happens if Shaw gets injured and Huijsen gets injured, or Huijsen isn't performing well, or we need to have someone, or we're playing in Europe, which we could be playing Champions League. There's 8 more games on top of what we're already playing. You need to be able to have someone to rotate with it. We could be playing Real Madrid on the Wednesday or Tuesday, and then we're playing, on Sunday to Brentford, and then on a Thursday, for instance, we've got a third round FA Cup time to Plymouth Argyle. You can't just keep on playing Dean Huijsen. You're going to have to rotate, so you're going to have somebody there. So it makes sense, in my opinion, to keep Lascelles, in my opinion. Even if it's for another year or two and we sell him on the back end, or let him go and bring in another kind of academy player or somebody who's ready to take over. So again, it's good squad building, in my opinion, and it makes sense. Callum Wilson, again, I had him as undecided for very, very similar reasons, but a little bit different. I think Callum Wilson has been rumored to be given a 2-year extension. And as you can tell, him playing less games has meant that he's been available at times. I think, and it's been rumored, I've got Tieno Barry and I've got Assane Diao here, because Newcastle have been rumored to be linked to these players, but also because Newcastle are linked with a forward. Obviously, we know that to be Cunha, and Newcastle are linked to be with a right winger. I think for the forward position, with Osola there, I think Newcastle bringing a new forward. Let me put Cunha, because Cunha is the one that's been rumored. I think Newcastle bringing a new forward. I'll take off Tieno Barry for now. I think the plan is to have a rotation, a versatile forward like Cunha with Isak, and by keeping Callum Wilson, which I thought this might happen, by keeping Callum Wilson and bringing in a new forward, you have the option of loaning out Osola and doing what we're doing with Cordero, where obviously he'll be gaining more first team experience. He's either going to smash it out the park in that year out, which would mean that at the end of that 2 years or at the end of that year, we can either sell Wilson and make money on him, or whatnot, and bring back Osola and have him rotating with Isak and Cunha. Or we even have the option of selling Osola, because he might be a fringe player but might not be quite good enough for Newcastle, but we can make 10, 20 million pounds on him. But the whole point is, by keeping Wilson and buying a new forward, we have the option of being able to do this with Osola. So we've got to spend money to make money, and it makes no sense to sell a player in Wilson who wants to stay at the club, B, we make no money from, and C, still has some value on the pitch. Some people might disagree with this, but you remember that he still scores goals, and he's probably the best choice striker most teams could have, in my opinion. So I can definitely see this being a situation where it makes sense for Newcastle to keep Wilson as well as keep Lascelles. But let me know what you guys think. Are you guys concerned by how we're building the squad? Are you thinking, why on earth are we keeping Lascelles? Why on earth are we keeping Wilson? This probably means we're not going to sell anybody. I don't think that's the truth. I think Newcastle is still going to bring in a striker, still going to bring in a right wing forward, a centre back, and a goalkeeper. But I think Newcastle, this is also a sign of Newcastle and Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe moving correctly and making sure that no matter what, we're staying ahead of PSR and we're keeping ourselves flexible financially with our team, but also being able to develop our players properly. Osola has now been with the team for a year and a bit now. Sending him out on loan and giving him that time to develop makes sense. And keeping Wilson with Isak and Cunha or whoever that centre forward is, it is a very competitive strike force. And if, like I said, if Osola smashes it, great. If he's a French player, still great. We can sell him or make our money back. It makes perfect sense for Newcastle, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think. I think it makes sense. I'm not worried about it. In fact, I'm encouraged that Newcastle are making these type of moves. I still have Barnes, and people, I know Strasbourg Steve prefers Willock. I still have Barnes as a possible sell. It'll probably be Barnes or Willock in order for us to make sure that we keep ahead of PSR. The way Barnes is playing, I think we'll probably change our minds, but we'll see. I still have Barnes there, but let me know what you guys think. That's my thoughts on the contract renewals. I think it still makes sense for the squad, for the squad building from the financial side, but also from the player side as well, in my opinion. Unaya says, I can see Wilson leaving. Fair play. Fair play. That could still be the case. Aaron Cave, excuse me, guys. I disagree with a 2-year extension for Wilson. 1 year, I don't mind for allowing us to bet in another forward, but Wilson has demonstrated he's finished at this level. Yeah, I can't, I understand. I totally understand that point of view. I totally understand. Let's see what the length of the contract is as well once it's confirmed. The mighty win. Evening, Philip. Good to see you, sir. God bless you. Oh gosh, it's a bit high here. That's better. Evening, Philip. Mad Dog said this morning that Osola reminded him of a 22-year-old Callum. Okay, yeah. High praise. Callum's still top striker with match fit. New contract must be heavily pay for play. It's possible. I doubt it because I think Wilson will have options. Like there will be teams in the Premier League that will pay good money for him. I think maybe because we are a bit frustrated as a fan base with him. He still has value. And look, for me, Newcastle are trying to compete in all 4 competitions, always. League Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, and in the for the Premier League as well. And if you can still get 10 to 15 games out of Wilson a season, it's worthwhile. That's what gets you through the earlier rounds of the FA Cup, of the League Cups as well. That's what allows you to rotate between Europe. It's guaranteed, for instance, that Newcastle will play between 5 to 8. If Newcastle get into the Champions League, it's guaranteed that they play between 5 to 8 games. And that's a lot of games. You guys will remember just how many injuries we picked up during that time, and we lacked rotation. So for me, I'm not overly surprised that we're keeping Wilson. And to me, it makes sense in my view. Onaya, if Wilson signs for a year or 2, you just know he'll be injured for half his contract time. Well, he's been doing well so far. And I think less time on the pitch, ironically, has helped him. He's been doing well so far. I think Newcastle are building the squad, and I think Wilson provides that experience, but also extra bodies for now. It just makes no sense. Newcastle make no money, make nothing from selling him at the moment, and he's still playing. So yeah, I think it's worth keeping him in my opinion. The mighty win. Surely, no one would pay good money for a player with his injury record. Maybe not. Unless you're a team that's building the squad. I think he will have people that will look up, that will go for him. But if you're building a squad, you might. I think people will be surprised by how many teams will take on Callum. Callum's always linked with your West Hams and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised. But for me, I'm overall quite happy with some of this kind of things coming out about how Newcastle are kind of moving in the transfer market. Obviously, the Cunha news, Mateus Cunha news really excited me. I think he's a fantastic player. And if we get him, I'll be so excited. Keeping our best players is just as important as us getting new players in. This like Bruno, the rest is going to be absolutely important for us in the summer window, but also building on what we have and doing it wisely and making sure players like Osola, Cordero, we develop them well, we develop them properly. Hopefully they they do amazing and they can join our first team. It saves us a ton of money. But also, if they don't, we're able to still sell them and keep above PSR. I think that's the name of the game. It's a bit cold hearted and kind of and clinical in that way, but it makes sense. So it makes sense again to keep your Rosola, excuse me, to keep your Wilsons and your Lascelles for now. For now, while Newcastle are building, and because PSR has only kind of extended the time it will take for us to build our squad, it makes sense to keep Wilson. It makes sense to keep your Lascelles as well, especially when they want to stay, especially when they love Newcastle, the club, the city, the fans, the people. They settle, they've got families here, and they're good experience. They're good around the ground. I think it makes sense, but it's good to agree to disagree. Unfortunately, we've come to the end, guys. I will have to give you guys a break, my own kind of breakdown of Antonio Cordero for our next show. But there's some good stuff from Antonio Mango, who does a breakdown on him as well. Somebody else did it as well. Not Jake Humphreys. I always get his name wrong. From the NUFC blog, he does a really, really good. In fact, do I have? I can't, guys. I was going to do the scouting report. I was so tempted. But look, we did the match review for the Man United game. We fully deserved it. We dominated on and off the ball. Our passing, our clinical edge, incredible goals from Tonali, from Barnes, and all the guys. We deserved it. We've got the Palace game coming up, but with this momentum, with this form, Palace play a very similar style to Man United. But Palace have also, I didn't mention this, but Palace are actually coming into really good form themselves. They've got a really, really good away record as well. But none of us are kind of expecting an easy game. But I think we all can say that if both teams come at full tilt each other, I think Newcastle are going to come away 3-1 victors. We've got a few positive scorelines from you guys as well. We talked about the squad building, the contract renewals. Some folks, even on here, but online as well, were saying that, hey, Lascelles and Wilson aren't a good idea to keep around. For me, I see the idea behind it. I think even for footballing reasons, their experience and them guiding the younger players, but also being the pillars and leadership in the squad and the team makes sense. But also being those extra bodies when we're playing, 5 to 8 more games in Europe. We've got the domestic cups. These are the players that you want to use against your Port Vales in the third round away ties right after a Real Madrid game in the Bernabeu. You don't want to be reusing other teams. It just makes sense rather than using academy players and risking your cup runs through youth, and having experience mixed of youth is better. It makes sense for me. But obviously some folks disagree with that, which is fair enough. But also from a financial point of view, it allows players like Osola, like Antonio, like Cordero and others to go out on loan, to develop in other areas, whilst our current squad is able to grow, is able to stay, is able to kind of look after itself and be robust as well. So I think it makes sense, but it's all about opinions, isn't it? But guys, as always, I want you guys to have a great evening. You guys, as always, are incredible chat, incredible group. We're going to have a great game tomorrow. Newcastle, we're backing them to win 3-1, to go third and to chase that second spot. Make sure you have a great evening, guys. Look after each other. And as always, guys, take care and God bless, folks.